Welcome to Hilarious Helmet History, the show where your cultural historical misconceptions are even sillier than my helmet. This week I'm wearing the helmet of the scurvy seas, a pirate hat, because we're talking about pirates, the outlaw rock stars of sailing. Also, I'm speaking English, so when I say pirates, you're probably picturing white European pirates, such as this famous, crazed international criminal, or instead of him, Blackbeard, that other guy. Anyway, you're wrong about these people. Though you do know how they really looked, you're wrong about almost all the important stuff. And you're super wrong if you think white European pirates, your favorite kind of pirate, were more than a blip on the historical radar. They barely even existed. Let's start with 1 and 2 here. You are kind of right about pirates, because almost all pirate lore and pop culture comes from a kind of right source. In 1724, the hit best-selling book, A General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates, defined pirates in the minds of Western audiences. It defined pirates on its own, and as the main historical reference for Peter Pan and for Treasure Island, the 1950 movie version of which took a joke version of a regional British accent.
Smart as paint, you be.
And made it so global and so annoying, it's got an official made-up internet holiday. All that came from one book, and this book had a mystery author writing under the pen name Charles Johnson, whose real identity is a mystery to this day. And Charles Johnson listed almost zero sources. He made lots of stuff up. However, according to Under the Black Flag, a book by actual historian David Cordingley, some of Johnson's book is accurate because Johnson wrote it in pirate times. He used current newspapers as sources, and he tracked down eyewitness accounts of a few key things, such as the crazy style of the famed pirate Blackbeard. So because our dominant single source for pirate stuff is kinda accurate, our concept of them is kinda accurate too. For instance, Johnson said white European pirates dressed like guys of their time. And if you Google that era, if you Google guys in King Charles II's England, those guys will look piratey to you. Even the fancier guys look like fancy pirates. Also, pirates often lost hands at sea. Many famous pirate captains had Ahab-style peg legs. When raiding a ship, pirates really swung over, armed to the teeth. Even eye patches might have been common, and in a way that's cooler than you think. Because if you have 2 working eyes, an eye patch is an old-timey night vision goggle. You wear it over one eye all day, that eye gets used to darkness, it's born in the dark, then at night, you flip the patch up, boom, you're half of a Bane. And speaking of movies, the navies that pirates fought against were even bigger assholes than the Pirates of the Caribbean movies make them out to be. The real British Navy kidnapped people worldwide to force them to work as British sailors. It was a system called impressment, and that not impressive system got 3 out of 4 of its victims killed within 2 years of capture. Compared to that global government body snatching, you gotta root for pirates, right? Because they didn't work for the man. They were outside of the mans, like free mans. Except that they did work for the man all the time. Most pirates were the man's entry-level employees. You see, Spain's Navy rode their Christopher Columbus, Discovery, and Gold Buzz into the 1600s. They dominated the Americas, the rest of Europe got jealous, so around the 1630s, France, England, and the Netherlands hired officially licensed pirates called privateers to attack Spanish ships, and kept hiring them. Britain even did stuff like conquering Jamaica in 1655 to create more ports for British-backed pirates not pirates. Europe's kings didn't agree to cut that out until the 1690s, at which point they downsized their privateers, and those unemployed guys stayed in business as the true pirates you're a fan of. Which means those British Navy guys who hate Jack Sparrow, they're mad at a phenomenon Britain's government created. Also, the kings crushed that phenomenon as fast as possible. By the 1720s, the major pirate captains were retired or dead. So, almost no pirates lived as true skull and crossbones style outlaws. Even that skull and crossbones flag is kind of made up. In his book, Life Under the Jolly Roger, historian Gabriel Kuhn says the first recorded use of a skull and crossbones was in 1700, about 25 years before piracy ended. Before that, the actual pirate attack flag was bright red. The French called that color Joli Rouge, and the English mangled that into the term Jolly Roger, because words are hard. And pirates almost never did the romantic pirate stuff. They aimed to steal boring stuff, like food and medicine, not cool, impractical gold. When they did get gold, they spent it because gold is heavy, and burying treasure is weird and stupid. Also, movies claim that pirates built tons of lawless island party towns. In actuality, they built one of those, called Port Royal. It existed for a few years before being hit by an earthquake, then hit by a tsunami, then hit by diseases that killed the survivors and spilled the drinks or whatever. Even pirate raids probably stunk as drama. Cordingly writes that in pirate times, the average merchant ship had a crew of 10 to 18 people. The average pirate ship had a crew of at least 30 and up to 200 people. A pirate attack was unfair. The merchants usually just surrendered. And pop culture says pirate crews were super co-ed, full of female first mates and captains, played by the hottest babes. And I'm so sorry, that's not true. This is Charles Johnson's fault. He spent a lot of pages on Mary Read and Anne Bonny, two female European pirates, but they were practically the only ones. And a lot of writers romanticized piracy as a space that was so full of freedom, it was full of diversity. But white European pirates came from that culture and that era. They practically never hired non-white people as anything but manual labor, and pirates treated captured slave ship cargo as cargo, because pirates were mostly assholes. Also, reminder, they were mostly not outlaws, and most importantly, if you love Jack Sparrow type outlaw badass rum pirates, I'm telling you, that was barely a thing at all. There were more than a couple of them for about 35 years. Timeline-wise, Western history has more than 3 times as many years of Pittsburgh Pirates baseball teams, many of them with much cooler outfits. Now, if you want to talk about pirate traditions in other parts of the world, oh hell yeah, that history is epic. If you watch this YouTube show, you know about Japan's Wuku, who were samurai pirates. If you listen to the Cracked podcast, you know about China's long tradition of massive pirate fleets, often led by women like Qing Shi. And we could do a whole nother hilarious helmet history about the so-called Barbary pirates who conquered the Mediterranean, then founded a North African country that lasted into the 1800s and fought 2 wars against the United States. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson and James Madison both fought pirate wars, and somehow there is not a Disney movie about that, even though I keep sneaking both of those Hall of Presidents, President robots, onto the pirate ride with me. Which is a crime. I'm going to jail. This is our last episode. Sorry! Thank ye for watching Hilarious Helmet History, and I'm not going to do that voice anymore. I am going to direct you to check out our videos on Amazon. There's a link below me. Just search Cracked on Amazon. We've got all of our Cracked Studios shows and a lot of other great stuff, including exclusive We Are Not Alone things, coming soon.